this is my part 2 of my rant.
Okay.
Tracks are too ruddy. Got to pack them in more.
You did change it.
Got to pack.
My God.
Got to pack the tracks in more.
How do we do that?
Like,
do we get the steamroller that they have in Europe?
We go to Philadelphia this year, and we go out there for first practice, and it's like they tilled the turns, and then they kind of back drag over it.
Yeah.
It's
just use the material that the BMX racers
What about
use.
the steamroller that you see in Bercy in Geneva?
I just think they just need to pack the turns in.
But with what?
Anything.
Okay.
Lime.
Okay.
Anything. It's like,
All right.
Yeah, anyway.
Let's get to Eli.
Let's get to Eli.
Brought to you by Wiseco Piston, by the way. Factory Honda has been teaming up with these guys. They've been manufacturing pistons right in the USA. Pulp 24 is the code to save. 2-stroke, 4-stroke pistons, all of it available at Wiseco. Let's bring in one of the heroes this weekend from Team USA and a legend in the sport. Eli Tomac, what's up, ET? How are you, man?
Well, I'll have to agree with AC on his ready track take.
Okay,
but,
all right.
I love it.
But I will say this. This weekend's track at Matterley Basin was like the best super ready track I've ever ridden.
Okay, explain.
Yeah,
explain.
Yeah, it was the most usable track, in my opinion, that I don't know, maybe I've ever ridden, to where there was passing opportunities like everywhere, outside of 1 or 2 turns.
Mm-hmm.
And
so,
Eli, you ran the paddle, right?
Yeah, I did.
I always found it really. We talk about the traction kind of on lean angle a lot with that. We've talked about it a lot on the broadcast. But one of the things I didn't like about the paddle when it was ruddy is I felt like it was really easy to stand the bike up and not keep it leaned over. Do you not get that feeling?
I'll say this is I've just gotten used to it, and I make it work for my current setting. A lot of people, they can't make it lean. That's a good point, and I don't know. Some guys just can't get it to like lean over on that edge, but for me, it's been working.
You ran it at Dallas, for God's sake, Eli. You ran it at Dallas.
That was unbelievable.
I heard that, and I'm like, no, and they're like, oh, he did.
There's no way.
Yeah, looking back, Moto 2 probably wasn't the smartest thing. But it just, for what I had going on in my SMX setup, the tire fit my bike perfectly. Because, like, when I go from a 120/80 to a 120/90, or I go to the paddle, like, that's literally 3 different feelings, in the ride height and stuff. And I would say I'm most sensitive to that. So it was a really hard, I don't know. Maybe I need to get better at that when I do make that change. But
I think you're doing all right.
Anyway, that's the reasoning. Is like my bike is consistent, and I'd rather have a consistent bike that I can predict than making that change and being like off.
Sure. Yeah. Motocross the Nations. Man, great ride, great job. For you though, like, you're a champion, you're an all-timer. Are you okay with the runner-up spot, like with all the things that went on and everything else, or do you leave the race being like, shit, fuck my life and all that? Like, what's the attitude like? Because I think it was awesome.
Well, yeah, it was a good performance, but we weren't celebrating by any means.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's my take on it. I was like, well, all 3 of us did like a good job, and we all carried our weight, but we just got beat. You look back and you're like, oh, if I could have stayed in front, of Geyser and Jet in the last moto and all this stuff, and then maybe one of the other guys passed one more guys, you think of all those things, and it really drives you crazy. But
yeah.
But I felt like we were super consistent and we put up a good result, but by no means was I celebrating and be like, I was only expecting top 5 and we got second. Like, this is super, super awesome.
Okay. All right.
I was just okay with it.
How about that last start, Eli? That you ripped that thing.
Yeah, I definitely ripped it. And when we line up, the GP way of lining up on the gate is it's kind of stressful, and and most of the guys just kind of rack in line, and then I slid over actually like 2 gates because I peeked over the bar, and and saw that the rut was better, and actually the dirt was better, like at the bottom of the hill.
Oh, okay.
So I had a really, really nice gate, and I'm like, if I need a whole shot this race, and I was able to. So yeah, it was a big one because I looked over and I was like, there was no one there, and then I just closed the door. So it was nice.
Yeah, you're right about that. Like, yeah, generally speaking, MXGP, they just go slot, 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 and by the time you get to the end, the card's up already. You know, like they don't fool around. It's not a lot of time to sit there.
And then the guys on the outside, they barely have any time to. And then it was raining, so everyone was burning their tire. You know, and guys were still spinning out even after burning their tire.
Yeah.
Did you change the height of the start hook, or did you leave it?
No, I didn't. But it's an easier grate to spin on than what we have in the AMA, because there was people spinning on our dry start practice.
I'm sure
when they had the gates down on the bottom, and then of course it gets even worse when they're wet.
I'm sure you've talked about this plenty of times, but what do you think about the grates in general? Do you feel that a great starter is still a great starter and the grate's not going to hold them back, or do you feel like, I don't know, I felt like it made it a bit to where you're coming into the turns and you're kind of locking bars with dudes, everybody's a bit more even, and I thought that it makes the first turn a bit more sketchy. What's your take on the grates? If you have any.
To be straight up, I personally am a better starter on them, so.
Right, yeah, that'll affect.
I prefer them. I don't like it when it's a super short start, and say if it's a short start in a 90 or something, yeah, that's when it becomes a problem. Like the Fort Worth race, that thing was way too short, and you were just smashing each other going into that turn. So, I mean, guys are more stacked up. Like if it's a short start, I would definitely agree with you that it's very even.
Eli, how was that quad? What was that thing, do you think, 100 and something feet?
I think it was like 140 feet. My dad stepped it off.
Oh, wow. Bigger than I thought.
He said it was 147, so maybe plus or minus 5 feet, because it was
So how was it?
He stepped it off, and we were just like, wow, that's a big jump. And it was wide open. Get your tires on the ground on that little double before it.
Yep.
Stay low and get your tires on the ground early, because a couple times I overshot it and then landed kind of in the ruts and I had to back out of it. So, yeah, you had to scrub, stay low, and then do wide open.
And the landing was short. It wasn't like a big landing.
It was a small landing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you gained a little bit of time just because of ramp speed. But it was a fun jump. It was a super fun jump. And really a lot of the jumps there were really fun. The finish line section, then into that next floating tabletop, and then go back around like a couple straightaways after the start. We had that right-hand floater one.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the ruts in the landings, it would be crazy, crazy fun. But a lot of those, you landed and you were landing into the ruts, and it was a little bit stressful.
You've been on many Team USAs over the years, and there's this sort of like after the Red Bud thing a few years back when you guys lost, sort of a recommitment to Team USA. some new people got involved, and more of a team effort, and they got you guys your own spot to change out of and everything else. Do you notice and do you notice it in a good way, the recommitment to sort of the USA effort and the people involved from when you first started going in the Cowie days?
Yeah, it's. I mean, there was a huge commitment. We had like our own trailer, our own hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. So the backing of it is totally there.
Yeah.
Especially right now. So it was amazing. Like AMA and everyone involved that was there helping. It was sweet. Like we didn't feel foreign at all. It was. We had our area. And we had our space, and it was a really nice setup.
And better than it used to be a few times that you went, like in Teushental or whatever. Yeah, better.
Yeah, when I think of back to like Teushental and stuff, it's more of, you just go to the team rig and you kind of hang out there. But this one, we were all three together, and it was a perfect team environment.
And AP's keeping it loose.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. AP keeping it. Yeah.
Vibe captain.
Yeah, exactly right. No, it was a really cool race for sure. And like I said, I thought you guys rode great. So when Sexton gets hurt, I heard John was like, I don't know. And then Webb called you, and you maybe you slept on it for a night or two before you decided. How close was it? Yeah, how close was it?
I slept on it for a night.
Yep.
So whatever, came home from Vegas, and then I think it was 2 nights. I don't know. It was 1 or 2 nights, and then I was like, we have to go, And then once again, as you get older, you just realize how cool a race it is, and what it means, and you racing all the best guys in the world.
Yep.
So
yep,
it's like impossible to pass up.
Who did you have, if anybody, Eli, this weekend? Obviously, you're there to race and you're doing your own thing, but did you have any GP riders or anybody come up to you to like talk to you, or did you meet anybody that was interesting or anything like that?
To be honest,
yeah,
no. We were kind of like in our race.
Yeah,
I mean, that was it.
Right.
I'm wondering.
And
I'm wondering, Eli, do you have, like, from the outside looking in? Obviously, you keep things pretty close to the vest, but from the outside looking in, it seems like you have, like, the last couple years, it seems like you have more fun riding. Is that real? Like, have you just gotten to the point in your career where you feel, I don't know, everything that you do from here on out is just kind of a bonus, or how do you look at things? You look like you're having more fun.
So I am having more fun, and I'm not sure if it's when I was, I think the weight of a Supercross championship was really whatever, put me under an insane amount of pressure. So that, and then getting the the Supercross championship, all the 450 stuff, and then after that, man, it's just like that this is a clock, that's going to run out, somewhat soon. So, especially if you want to stay at like the top level and not just cruise around. So, it's appreciation of everything, enjoying riding, enjoying the team, the environment of everything, and just enjoying the ride, and still enjoying racing and trying to always get better, I guess. Yeah.
I saw a photo of you from the Disnations. You had a bloody nose. It looked like a rock got you. And then I understood, too, because you did catch Tim a little bit in the first moto, and then, he kind of pulled away again. And I guess, like, from what I heard, you had goggle problems like so many other guys, and then you got a rock to the nose, and you were like, okay, fine. Like, go ahead, Tim. Was that basically how it went?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was good. I think it was, like, right around halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I got roosted, and then it tore my tear-off film, right?
Yeah.
So I was stressing out big time, and I was really, really close to coming in for goggles.
Oh,
and then I looked back, and I saw, like, a couple guys, and I'm just like, dude, I'm going to get worked if I pull in. Like, I just have to stay out. And thankfully, no one, like, totally pelted my goggles, and I got a couple of thumb wipes in that were working. And I got enough thumb wipes in with my gloves that I was able to be okay. And I was also terrified of taking my goggles off, knowing how bad that roost was, especially coming back like on the start straight and stuff. So
yeah,
it was. I was basically gonna keep my goggles on until I totally couldn't see.
Dude,
it's never worth going blind, right?
Yeah, it was scary, and then. Yeah, it was a bummer though, because I was making a good push to guys in that moto.
Yep.
Eli, I tweeted, I don't know, it's maybe a year ago at this point, but I tweeted something about kind of just a funny tweet about how you seem to not mind Roost at all. Like there's been so many races I've watched over the course of your career, even as an amateur, where you will just sit, like, I'm out there trying to make a point to get out of somebody's roost, changing lines and whatever, and it just doesn't seem like it affects you much. Is that, like, what's with that, man? How can you – I don't get it. Like, I really don't get it.
Well, like this last weekend, I was ducking and trying to get out of the way, but
just built different.
Dude, I don't have an answer for you. It's like I don't have an option, right?
Yeah.
You just have to deal with it. Yeah.
That's one thing. That's one thing I think in racing that it's another thing in dirt bikes where you're just expected to be that tough, right? But you kind of feel soft talking about Roost. Like, you really do. But sometimes I'd come off the track at like Unadilla or Washougal, and I'm like, how is nobody talking about this? Like, I'm bleeding, bro. I'm bleeding. My neck's swollen.
Yeah.
Like what?
No.
Yeah. And it's just you can't even talk about it. You know, if you talk about it, you're like,
I can't imagine up the hill at Washougal. Because I went there. I rode there on a ride day with nobody there, and I got roosted. I'm like, oh my God, this hurts. Make it stop. And I just backed off. Yeah. Because that's what I can do.
Yeah.
You guys cannot do that.
I feel soft talking about it even, but you get it, Eli. I mean, you know it still hurts you, right? I mean, you do feel pain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess the only good thing is like when we race, like you got all the adrenaline running, but I mean, it still sucks, but what do you do?
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? Speaking of that, Eli, I got that new plasma under chest protector. Are you wearing that for Alpine Stars?
Yeah, and I wore it this last weekend too.
What do you think of it? You like it? It's good?
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, it's like it just fits your back really well. It fits everything good.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's good.
All right, okay.
What is he supposed to say?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess what's he supposed to say? They pay him a lot of money, I guess. You're right. But I
was running the I can tell you this. I was running like the normal A1 up until this race, and then they told me I had to run that plasma one. That was one of the first times I actually ran it during the race versus the older A1.
Oh, because it was probably CE approved. I think they have that rule.
Exactly.
Yeah, they have that.
They make that wear that CE protection. Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Are they actually gonna would they ever? Are they checking?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, wow.
They checked in practice. They never checked in a race, but why would you risk it? But
hey, let me peek down your shirt real quick.
It's Euro, dude. They don't fool around there. Speaking of spinning on the gate too, right down from you in the third moto, I think 2 over from you was Ferrado, and he went completely sideways off the gate. Like, and he's a GP guy.
Yeah, saw that.
And he just I'm like, what are you doing, dude? But that's how slippery he was, right? Yeah. So.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't burn his tire. I think the knobby tires don't hook up as well either on that grate.
Yeah.
So I think that was another advantage when it was wet. I think my scoop was hooking.
We have a question for you on line 1. It's a mountain bike question from Jason, but we're happy to take it here. Jason, welcome to the show. What's your question for Eli Tomac?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Eli, massive fan. Right away, not a question, but just want to reminisce on 2022 Spring Creek. Oh, man, you and Chase, Moto 2, you were coming up, hunting Chase down. You guys both went up Mount Martin side by side, came off the top of Mount Martin, and you came off absolutely sideways. You were perpendicular to the track. And what do? You straighten her out, wide open down Mount Martin. I think you passed them later in that lap. But, dude, that is something that will be ingrained in my memory forever. It was so sick. You remember that day and how gnarly you guys were?
I remember that moment off the top because that was some serious butt pucker. That was a little more sideways than I wanted to be.
Here I was thinking there's no way Eli remembers some moment from Millville 2 years ago about getting sideways, but he does.
That one I do. I totally do because, I mean, that hill is so big. And, I can't even imagine crashing right there. It would just be a disaster.
Dude,
yeah.
It was absolutely psycho. And then to hear the Yami barking after it, it's like, dude, absolutely insane. Legendary moment.
Thanks for the call, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Adam, actually, we can talk to you about this because we've had so many riders on this show talk about there's only one guy that sounds like Eli Tomac when he's behind you.
Oh, yeah.
There's only one rider out there.
Scary.
Everyone knows when Tomac is behind you.
Oh, Eli, you put the fear of God in me at High Point.
He does it for everyone.
High Point. Well, this time was different.
Okay.
I sometimes see this when I try to fall asleep at night in my
That's
dreams.
some real estate.
But it was High Point 2021. I think it was the second moto. I was out front for like 10 minutes. You came up, and I knew I was ripping. I put together like 5 really good laps, and at the time, I thought if there's anybody still right on me, it's got to be Eli. Like, nobody else can do this right now.
Yeah.
And wow, you were so loud. Like you were just on it. Like it was one of the, I think you had like a kind of an iffy first couple rounds, and it was one of those days you were just feeling it. And I remember you passing me and going through the mechanics area at High Point. You kind of go down that long straightaway. You can hit the single or go around it, go across the start straight, and then there's a left-hand turn, and there's a wooden, there's almost like a wood berm.
Yeah.
And I thought I was ripping, and I saw Eli go through that, and he literally railed the wood. And I was like, I guess I just don't have it like that.
Yeah. From guys I talked to, they're like, dude, clutch is in, throttle is wide open, and then the Yamaha, the way the Yamaha sucks air.
Yeah.
They're like, there's only one man who's behind me right now. God help me. It's Eli Tomac.
Really? I mean, really, it's the clutch, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wide open, but I'm just a clutcher. Like, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you
can
regulate
call it
the
old
power.
school, but I regulate my power with the clutch.
Yeah, and so does Alex Ray, but we're like, dude, you can't do it like Eli.
That's
so stop
super
it.
disrespectful for you to
No,
even
but
say that.
A-Ray tries to ride like Eli Tomac. We're like, dude, stop it. You can't.
Well,
you can't.
When I was teammates with Eli that
Yeah.
first year, I remember watching him do a 20 at K1, like right off the rip, and 3-4 laps in, bike smoking, going through, because he Baggett did that kind of too. He kind of regulated it, with the clutch like that. But Eli, you've always been good at especially in the whoops, like keeping the rear planted by dragging the clutch a little bit. So I get it.
Exactly. A little bit of slip.
Eli, we saw you recommitted for next year, for final year, you said, with the team, Monster Energy Star Yamaha. Is it a motocross option like kind of this year was, or are you in for motocross, do you know, or it's like supercross and we'll see?
It's a full year.
Full year,
Yep.
okay, yeah.
Signed up full year.
All right, awesome. What did you think of your SMX series? I mean, obviously, like, it was pretty damn good to me. That first moto at Dallas was amazing. The one moto kind of put you out of a winner-take-all thing in Vegas, but I still think it was pretty good. Were you happy with it?
Yeah, I was, because I felt like I was a little bit off in moto. Going back to those last couple of rounds of moto, and then I was able to make some good forward momentum there and get like in the game. I thought like I felt Chase was just spanking me in the moto stuff, and then I was able to win a moto and SMX and be like totally at the front of the race. So yeah, I was happy with how that comeback was, and and my first go at SMX. So they were nice.
Segueing off that, Eli, do you find that I'll take Dallas second moto SMX as an example? Maybe missed it a little bit with the setup with the tire, and the track was for sure the sketchiest thing we saw in SMX. I was very happy to be retired that day. But do you find it easier now to, like, when you just don't have it, when it's not going well, do you find it easier now to kind of just back it down and take what you can get? Or is that something that's always, like, you've always been smart enough to kind of see through the emotion of the moment?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly when, but I just like you just mature, right, over time, and it's much easier to manage and make decisions and not like in the moment. So, I would say over my career, I've been pretty within my limits, right?
Yeah.
So,
I could say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, you were real.
Yeah.
You really kept it on two wheels a lot.
Smart guy.
All right, we got another call for you, Eli, from Brandon here on one. What's up, Brandon? What's your question for Eli Tomac?
Hey, thank you very much for having me on, Steve.
Yeah.
Hey, my question, Eli, is would you ever consider doing a year of MXGP like Villapoto did?
At this point, for me, it's too late. But I will say, like I said it right when I first came on, that was one of the best moto tracks I've ever ridden for like pure flow and technical and just like a good racetrack, in my opinion, Matterley Basin. So I obviously haven't seen all the other tracks, but I know some of them aren't so sweet. But that one, I had a heck of a good time, and yeah, it makes me wonder. But at this point, yeah, it's too late. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't go over for a whole series.
So AC had a thought that next year might not be your last year. Like if it goes really well.
You just seem like you're having fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm having a lot of fun, and it's gonna be my last year. So
Okay. All right.
yeah,
Join me.
it's
All
yeah,
right.
it's gonna be my last year.
Thank you, Eli. I love the Tomac era. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank
Thanks.
you. Next question for Eli is from Jay. What's up, Jay? What's your question for Eli?
Hey, what's up, guys? Eli, question on kind of your attitude and your demeanor and what leads to beast mode. Is that something that was instilled in you by your dad as you were growing up, or where did that come from and develop?
Well, when I'm coming up through the pack, it's just straight up. It's everything's working, and like you're just comfortable on the motorcycle. You know, you're not getting tight. You're picking the lines that you are going where you want to go. The bike is reacting the way you want it to react, and at that point, it's just like a certain flow state, and that allows me to charge. Yep.
All right. There you go. Thanks, Jay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris Betts looks a little bored over in the corner. Betts,
No.
why was Helen Keller's face burned?
Oh, we're gonna get into.
Oh yeah, we got to get into that one.
We'll get into that later. Yeah. Thanks, Jay.
Okay.
Thanks. Appreciate it. That's still Betts is still on that. Scott, what's up? What's your comment to Eli Tomac?
Glad I got on. I'm getting a live show appearance, so this is fun on a Monday. I usually don't get this, but Tomac, I gotta say, man, I turned it on at 6:00 Sunday morning, saw that track, and I said, he's got to be super excited. And then I hear one of the guys, Paul Malin, said something about how he talked to your dad, and your dad said he was excited that the track was sticky. And I'm excited to hear what your excitement about the track. The day was beautiful. To hear you guys be a little bit bummed about second place, as a fan and as a huge fan of this event, please don't be bummed about it. Go have a beer for yourself. You guys are very well deserving of that second place, and take that as a win. That was amazing. I loved every bit of that event. That was so cool to watch as an American, just a moto fan all the way around. But
Cool. Thanks, Scott. Yeah.
The off-season stuff, on the off-season silly stuff, do you get to go play now? Do you get to eat food that you haven't eaten in a long time?
Yeah. You taking some weeks off, Eli, or what's the plan?
I'm taking like 3 days off, and I'm riding Supercross on Friday, and then I'm going Supercross testing next week.
There we go.
Light schedule.
Stupid
Light
sport.
schedule.
That's what people I don't like, and I've said this on the show. Like, yeah, people don't understand the schedule that you guys hold. Like, it's nuts, man.
And especially for someone like Eli that's been so durable for so long,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, I did it once, and it was hard.
Yeah.
Favorite car?
Well,
Eli's.
like this, like right now, like I signed myself up for this, right? So I got to
Yep.
go work on my Supercross stuff for WSX, get ready there, and then go do those. But I'm totally motivated for all this fall racing stuff. Like, it's going to keep me in shape. I'm going to be able to get gate drops, get racing in, and me taking off the summer. Like, I still feel super fresh.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to go.
I liked in the
Yeah.
press conference when Chase and Jet were going a little bit off on the schedule and the long schedule, and Eli's like, I don't know, man, I was off, and this is a lot of money, so I'm good.
Exactly. I'm like, stop complaining. Like, this is a super sweet person. We've never had this before. Like,
I don't think Chase was pumped on that comment. I think Chase wanted some backing on that, and he didn't get it.
yeah, like, here's the problem, though, is the sustainability. Like, that's the problem is it's going to be hard for guys to make it past 30 years old, like, unless they just, I don't know how to manage it. But, dude, if you're burning motos just year after year, like, oh, God, I could just go on about this. But, it is too much at the end of the day. But between 29 and 31, it doesn't make that much of a difference.
Sure. Eli, do you think that the Achilles injury, do you think that'll end up extending your career because you had the time off?
Yeah, it totally did.
Yeah.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because you had a run there for a while where it was pretty much every weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But, I mean, that being said, I was in 23, I would have, not race. Well, I don't know if I committed or not. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know if I was signed up for motocross then, but when right before I tore my Achilles, I would have to go back.
I think
you were on the
No,
fence.
I think
I was signing Supercross only deals.
Yeah, well, you did that. But I
So-
remember you did a post with Monster saying that you'll be there for Pro Motocross
Yes.
like the week before Denver.
Yep, I think
Yeah.
so.
So you did.
I think you
Yeah.
were in.
Um,
Yeah, it's a lot, man. I mean, even in my day at Yamaha, we would ride Supercross Wednesday after Steel City. We'd build our test bikes before Steel City, and then Wednesday we'd be at the Supercross track on Wednesday after Steel City. And I'd always be like, "Hey, man, can we get a week off? No,
Yeah.
no, can't, no, okay." So, it's
Yeah.
it's been that way for you guys forever, man. It's
Eli, I think sometimes, and I just want your opinion on this, and you can also not have an opinion. Feel free to do that. But sometimes I think that like racing gets a little bit oversaturated. Like if we had a little bit more time between events, like when we're just knocking them out, when we do 13 straight from, February to Easter, I feel like the race almost isn't enough of a big deal in the public's eyes just because it's happening so often. Do you have any type of opinion on that, or is there anything that you would have an opinion on, like changing, that you think would be helpful for the riders?
I mean, it would be interesting to go look to say, hey, if you did clip like 3 or 4 races off, and what is the points gap at that point in the series? That would be really interesting. I mean, at round like 13, 14, it gets a bit monotonous, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like who budges? That's the other problem. It's like who is going to, not run another race and give that up. So
yeah,
I get that.
And then you know what?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's different. I know it's different. I understand it. But the Feld guys will push back and be like, "Look, Kenny and Eli are doing World Supercross. The Lawrences are going to Paris."
Yeah.
They will say that. And I'm like, "Hey," I told them, "Look, it's different. It's different. It is not the same." But they will point to that, and I'm like, "Okay, all right." So there is that.
And
yeah,
just to segue from this, I want to give you, Eli, I think even when we were teammates, we talked about it a little bit. I feel like just like at the top of the show, and I'm not trying to get you to complain or bash anything. We all love what we do, of course. But I want to give you the floor to say what you think about track prep and because I just think the last few years, I'm not sure, you've been out there a lot more than I have, but the last few years, it's like endurocross at the end of a supercross race most of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm personally maybe that's not even my best condition, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but that personally, I think that we should try to do something to help limit that. What's your take on track prep?
I would say I'm most of on the same page there with you. A lot of times when we walk the track in the morning, it's dozer prepped, right? And I don't understand why it's not finished with a skid steer. I mean, maybe it's all about they're trying to keep moisture in it. You have the dirt fluffy, but I've never understood why the tracks aren't skid steer finished to have like smoother transitions, so the tracks aren't as notchy and as rutted. And then same thing with the turns. I mean, if you have a single railing rut in the turn, you're not going to have a lot of passes going on in that turn.
No square ups, no block passes. You can't run somebody to the top of the turn.
Yep, just follow the leader, grab a handful of 450 and that's it. But I think overall it's pretty wild how broken down they get. Some guys excel in those environments, and I'm sure some dudes are going to completely disagree with this.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I wish that they would start out actually more finished. Like the beginning of the day, I think they start out like too soft, straight up.
Yep, me too. I just think they roll. They kind of they almost till the turns up, and they drag it's very loose dirt when you go out there for the first practice, and it ends up because we're all trying to get a heater in. We're going to the dry line.
Is this a Lime thing?
It
since
could be,
they went
but
away from it?
It could be, but even when I turned pro in 14,
Oh, okay.
man, the tracks were. If you even look back to 2010, like the tracks were completely different. People were going everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go, like 2010 or 2006 somewhere in there, and look at the tracks. Like
There's no blue groove anymhere,
No,
ever,
no.
ever.
yeah, it just doesn't like that. That element is gone. It's weird in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said. Eli, thank you for the time tonight. Appreciate it. Good job in England, man. Way to step up. Thanks for your time, Eli.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. That's Eli Tomac, brought to you by Wiseco Piston. From one Team USA member to another, this gentleman really, really dug deep and came through with the second place. It's Cooper Webb. What's up, buddy? How are you?
What's up, Steve?